What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out an amazing update. I don't know if this is supposed to enhance the relationship between China and Africa, but I do think it will. This one is titled China Eliminates Tariffs on Imports from 6 African Countries. Let's get to it.
This is still the conversation. Now, most goods coming from Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Gambia, Mali, Madagascar, and Mauritania will no longer have tariffs on them when entering the Chinese market. Now, China is the biggest consumer of cobalt from DR Congo, while a booming cafe culture amongst Chinese youth is driving sales of coffee. Now, China's new policy, which comes into effect on Christmas Day, follows criticism that it focuses on buying mainly raw materials from the African continent. That's been touted by Chinese Customs Tariff Commission of the State Council as proof of the spirit of China-Africa friendship and cooperation, leading to a high-quality China-Africa community with a shared future. Now, joining me, of course, on the program at this time is Dr. David Masanga, African Affairs Analyst, joining from London, United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, my brother, across there in the tropics of Africa. Thank you very much. You are enjoying the tropics. I'm in a very cold place. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew that was what he was going to say, because this is winter. People out here now facing the winter. It's a situation for us.
All right. Now, let's of course start with your immediate reaction to this particular deal. What does it portend, particularly for the African economy?
It does very well, but will the African economies keep their bargain to the people, the farmers who are going to grow these crops? Will that money come back? I hope somebody should tell China that we are telling China. Some of us who are great friends of the African people, we want to tell China that put stringent measures on how they use this money when it is duty-free, it returns. Make sure that they don't bank this money anywhere, but the money goes back to hospitals, to roads, to schools, to housing, to other, very many other institutions that need to be, to education. All these institutions need that money back here, not banked somewhere across the world, and then you come back to Africa with nothing after having a duty-free exports that have gone, and there's no duty cut conducted on them.
I totally understand his points, totally understand his concerns, but if I'm being honest, this is not China's business. If they've already gone the step to remove the tariff, this is where Africans, we need to hold ourselves accountable. Yeah, because they've done their part. China does not have to ensure that this money goes to the banks or goes back to the farmers or goes to doing the right things in society. We Africans and our leaders, we need to take responsibility and make sure these things happen, because China is not responsible for that. They've done their part already. And I understand where he's coming from. He's coming from a place of concern and a place of love. I do understand and I respect that. But I just think this is something we should be doing. You know, we as Africans, we need to enforce this and make this happen for ourselves.
Now, China's new policy actually follows criticism that it focuses more, that's before now, on buying mainly raw materials from the African continent. Would you say there's some sort of substance to this claim?
There's substance to this claim, but China comes with the money. It doesn't come with letters of credit, my brother. You see, the people saying that are the same people who come with letters of credit. We know them. America, France, and Britain. They want letters of credit. You have to open a letter of credit in order to have the access to this money. But the Chinese come with the hard cash. If they are buying these goods, they are buying them in the hard cash. There is some credit in that type of statement, because you need to have factories here. We must change the policy to have factories on the African continent to produce those duty-free markets, that goods that will go to China, so that our people get money, get jobs, get all the facilities and benefits that go with the cash crops that are having a duty-free.
I think these accusations mostly come from like the Western media, and it's funny that they are very quick to criticize the relationship between Africa and China, or Africa and Russia. They are quick to interfere and tell Africans how this relationship is going to be detrimental to Africa. But it turns out Africa has been dealing with them as well. Some could argue their relationship or their dealings with Africa was even worse than Africa's dealings with China or Africa's dealing with Russia. So yeah, I do accept and understand what the man was just talking about right there.
Now, how sincere do you consider this particular policy? Because recently Africa has seen some sort of scramble, by the West. We are seeing America and Russia trying to exert some sort of influence when it comes to, world power and all of that. And right now we're beginning to also see China, exert its own level of influence in terms of providing loans, aids, and also, what I call it, infrastructural support and all of that. Now, how sincere do you think this policy is when it comes to the African market?
I think the Chinese are very sincere on the African market. That is true. They are very sincere and they want.
So, are you saying there's no political undertone to this?
There always is.
What political undertone? Does America come and tell you that you must go and dress all time at night to go and sleep? Does China tell you to do so? No. So they have no political undertones on the Chinese. Chinese don't come to these countries in Africa to interfere with internal affairs of the people of Africa. Mm-hmm. But we have a problem here we have a problem with the Americans. They come to interfere. Look at all the countries that they have listed here: Angola, Congo, Gambia, Madagascar, Mali, Mauritania. These are countries that are visa threat anytime. Visa threat by Americans, because they have told them, we want you to do what we want. We want you to change your culture the way we want. But Chinese don't come here to change our culture. Mm-hmm. Chinese come here with their money. They put the money in the box. We make the money, the roads. They constructed the roads. Look at the roads they have constructed. Come to Kenya. Go to Uganda, some parts of Uganda. Go to Zambia. Go to Tanzania. Go to Zimbabwe. Go to Ethiopia. Go in most of the places. They have constructed the roads that are making it possible for our people, apart from a few countries that have not utilized the Chinese loans. Very many countries in Africa. In fact, I am one of the few people who tells African countries that we better create in each country in Africa a province for China. Because in 20 years to come, we shall have Chinese across Africa in every country of Africa. And because they are having intermarriages, they are having social contacts with our population. So you expect children to be produced. You expect people to come up and say, hey, we are now Kenyans. Hey, we are now Ugandans. We are Nigerians. We are born here. But they will have Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I think the only political undertone there would be mutual interest. China, they might, the thing might seem like it's a favorable deal to Africa, but I'm sure there's another side, which is it's always going to be like a trade-off for some sort of compromise for the parties involved. So the only undertone, which I'm sure there is, would be what they are getting in return. I don't know because this video doesn't state it, but we'll see. As far as what he mentioned there, everything is exactly true. When they say they're coming to do business, if they are buying something and giving something in return, they always tend to do it without interfering with the politics of the nation or ruining the nation like, other people do. And as far as what he says about building a province, that might be something, because they are coming. And not only are they coming, they are interacting, whether it be socially or politically. They are interacting with Africans, and it's going to turn into something, which I hope is going to be good for, both parties. But yeah, he's right on point. I think he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, now before I let you go, Dr. Masanga, you talked about loans. We know that quite a number of African countries owe the Chinese a lot of money. Now, I would appreciate if you can give me a response in 30 seconds vis-a-vis this policy. What is your take in terms of paying back those loans and also these policies that we are seeing?
I better pay the money back, because we don't want to have problems and the Chinese coming to take up
Africa.
all our places, our infrastructure again, and occupy us. We have to be careful as we get this money. Each country must assess the needs for this money. We should simply not go and borrow, not knowing that in the future we might not pay. That is the way we should do business. But otherwise, for me, they have done very well to get the Americans working. There is no project of America on African continent that I see, a road made by America. I haven't. I only see words, embargo, sanctions, visa slaps, and so on African continent. So China has come in to rescue most of us, most of the countries in Africa. Good job done, but be careful. Don't overborrow and then end up losing your infrastructure.
All right, Dr. David Masanga, African Affairs Analyst, joining from London, the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time.
That was a good video. Well spoken. Yeah, the doctor definitely knows what he's talking about. And his last advice there does make a lot of sense. Africa, do not over borrow. Borrow only what you need. And as the leader of the opposition in Nigeria would say, borrow for production, don't borrow for consumption. Which, at the end of the day, it makes sense. The thing is, when you're talking about political interest, you have to understand that China is doing what is best for China, and Africa has to do what is best for Africa. This does not mean the parties involved might be somebody who is a bad person or a good person. In business, you don't think about bad or good. You think about the interest, and you prioritize that. And I think China, or the Chinese leaders, will prioritize the interest of the Chinese people. So African leaders should prioritize the interest of African people. And that comes with doing business as well. When you're borrow what you can pay and pay back the people, because even though they give you the money, they still will need the money back. Anyways, share your thoughts, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.